And we're back with absolute value, okay? And you may recognize it, okay, with these lines. Maybe you recognize what we're talking about here. Not to be confused, okay, with the rounded parenthesis, okay? This is not what we're talking about. We've got the straight up and down lines with numbers inside, and you may have always wondered, what in the world is that? So we're going to discuss it, okay? And absolute value is referring to these symbols. Well, what you need to know is that absolute value is basically distance from zero, okay, in either the positive or the negative direction. And I'm going to give you an example. When I fly to New York in November to be with my family, I'm flying home to New York, and when I fly from Tampa, Florida to New York, okay, it's about 1,000 miles, and it's a direct flight. But am I flying a negative 1,000 miles? No. Why? Because distance is never negative, okay? Distance is never negative. That's why when someone asks you what is the absolute value of 5, well, it's always going to be a positive. Okay, because distance is never negative. So what this means is the absolute value of 5 is the distance from 0 in either direction. So here's a positive 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 units from 0. So that is the answer. Okay, so absolute value is distance from 0. Well, here's a negative 5. So then I would go to negative 5. So what's the absolute value of a negative 5? Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 units from 0. So the absolute value of a negative 5 is 5 because it's 5 units from 0. That's the distance from 0, and distance is never negative. But the only situation where that would change would be as if you have this negative symbol in front of the absolute value. That changes things. So again, if we go to the number line, okay, and we see the absolute value of a negative 5. Well, we went to negative 5 here, and we know that the absolute value of 5 is 5 units of a negative 5 is 5 units from 0, so we would say 5. But this negative symbol in front, even though it's not there, there's a 1 there, and it's saying multiply a negative 1 to the result. So a negative 1 times a positive 5 is a negative 5, and that's your final answer. Or you can say that this negative symbol just means, the way that I like to say it is, give me the opposite of whatever the result of this is. Well, the distance from 0, the absolute value of a negative 5 is 5, and the opposite of a positive 5 is a negative 5. So that's generally speaking, so we understand what these lines these line things mean. That's what it means. Absolute value, distance from 0, and distance is never negative.